Durag Diaries. Yo, people, what's good? Welcome back to another episode of Durag Diaries, hosted by your boy George. Back here again, man. Back here to speak about the hot topic right now. The thing that's on the tip of everyone's tongue. And do you know what? I'm Ange in. Huh? You see when the stocks get low. You see when everyone starts selling. I buy more. That's what I done with Kulusevski last year. They're telling me he's finished. I said, don't worry. He gonna be back. I'm exactly doing the same thing with Ange. A lot of Tottenham fans are swinging the other way right now. They're telling us Ange ain't the guy to take us forward. Ange is this, Ange is that. I'm here to tell you, Ange is the man. Ange is the man. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are showing some love. As we know, as you can see on the banner below, road to 1K, few subs away from 500. So we're almost at the 50% mark. Make sure you guys are liking on the channel, liking on the video, showing some love. It helps the algorithm so more people can see this. And hopefully we bring more people to the community, more videos, more content. You know where it is. And make sure you're subscribing. Show some love by subscribing. Don't take a minute. If you like my videos that much and you want to stay up to date with all my new content, just tap on the post notification bell too. And also, don't forget, if you're liking this video, you probably got a friend or family that's going to like the video too. So share it with them, man. Whether they want to laugh, whether they want to join in with the therapy, or whether they want to share their thoughts in the comment section, just make sure you give it over there. So big up to everyone inside. Big up for you joining. But today we're here to talk about Ange, man. Because, as I said, I've done a video just a few days ago. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Boardroom Talks. I'm joined by Mr. Box Office, Deji, Ash Mike from Spurs Kings, and Jacob from United Spurs of America. It was like a little Avengers assembler thing. We had loads of different opinions, a lot of different views on the team, on Ange as a whole. But one thing that is clear is the past couple performances and most recent times, it's led a lot of the fan base to turn on Ange. Understandably. I mean, as you guys can see right now, no do-rag is on my head because the tractor boys took that privilege away from me. I can't cover up this hairline no more, this atrocity on my head. So the tractor boys, the Blues, Ipswich, they made sure that I ain't got shit for the international break. But we'll be back. We'll be back as we do. And in typical Spurs fashion, we've got a few hard games coming up. Big teams. That means we got big results, big performances needed. And these are the ones where I'll probably look at and say, I think we're going to pick up some points. But before we get into any of the game stuff and any previews, make sure you tune in next week for all of that because we're going to be diving real deep into that. Hamza Man City Hardcore is going to be on here doing a Man City preview, so make sure you're there. Subscribe again, post notifications bell to make sure you're live for that one. But for Ange and for the way that I look at this, I think there's three ways to break it down. Firstly, we have to look at the tactics, the system. Is it working? Secondly, look at the players, the coaching. Are they improving? And then thirdly, you have to look at the recruitment. Are we getting good players in? And do they fit? Are they the right profile for what we need in this team? Starting off, we're going to go from back to front. Looking at the recruitment, I think Ange has been hard done by. We have to be honest here and say that we've not recruited enough for Ange. Ange has been backed. There's no doubt about that. He's got a few players in that he's most definitely wanted. The likes of Brennan Johnson, Maddison. It's fair to say Maddison was being looked at prior to Ange. But it's also fair to say that he does fit his system. And when he came in, he was the type of player that he wanted, being a creative midfielder in such. So Maddison, Brennan Johnson, and then you could probably look at Van der Ven. I'd say those are three hallmark signings or key signings that Ange has probably pushed through for us. Of the three, it's fair to say two of them are underperforming this season. Brennan Johnson and Maddison in particular. Van der Ven just has his problems with injury in his hamstrings, and the way we play, we're always going to have this problem with him. So there's definitely something we need to look at there. Bringing in a backup is key in January with that. But I think the recruitment and the profiles of players that we've brought in don't necessarily match the system. Now, with Ange has pushed through these players, and a lot of these players that aren't fitting in the system, i.e. Dragusin, Timo Werner, Brennan Johnson, we've got a few youngsters that haven't even played, but these types of players that are brought in but don't really fit the way we need to play. Brennan Johnson's a guy that's going to get on to the end of crosses, score a few tap-ins here and there, but his overall wing play is not it. In the Ange Postecoglu system, we need good wingers. We need wingers that can play on the touchline, beat their man, put a quality ball into the box, and be very good in the final third. Because it's very clear to see the outlying metrics when you look at the way that we play and our build-up is getting the ball into the final third is never the issue. It's never the issue. It's the problem when we have the players and the players in those in the problem is getting the ball to the players in that position, what they're doing with it once the ball gets there. Very clear to see we get the ball there and then we start working our way back because it's not that the system's not working, it's that players just don't have the capabilities. Sometimes man hasn't got the facilities for that. Brennan Johnson's walking into, as the Sainsbury's and them things, and his car's declining every time. But he's still going in there. He's still trying to shop. Like, bro, you've got no money in the bank. Calm down. Chill out. That ain't for you. And that's some things we need to recognize. I do think that he's had a decent impact at times this season. But again, I'll take it back to the recruitment. I don't think that we've brought in enough players with the right profile to fit Ange's system as of yet. Now, we've only had 3 transfer windows under Ange. So it's fair to say we're still going through that process. We're still trying to find those players and we're still, clearing out the dead wood because it's only just this summer that we got rid of loads of contracts. We offloaded quite a few players that were, excess to require. They were excess in the squad, but ultimately they were still around. And I feel like a lot of this summer was just trimming down costs. Now, whether we look at that and saying, is this the board, not backing a manager again, not giving him what he wants, signing players that don't fit the team, that's another question. And that's one that's probably been more of a longer term problem at Spurs. And one thing we can't pinpoint on Ange in particular, because all of our managers have complained about recruitment. From ever I've been a Spurs fan for the last 20 odd years, we had Harry Redknapp not get players. That man wanted to sign who was he going for that summer? There was a time in January transfer window 11 to 12. I remember this. I remember sitting in front of my TV on transfer deadline day, seeing Louis Saha and Ryan Nelson coming to my club. 2 free transfers. We're pushing on for top 4. Just that was the season we finished 4th. We could have went 3rd. We could have pushed on. We had a really good team, a strong team. Needed a new centre back, needed a striker. But look who Daniel Levy brought in. 2 bozos that didn't even play for relegation fodder, literally. And that's what's happening again. But it's just pretty now. It looks nice because they're 40, 50 million pound signings. But bringing in the likes of Archie Gray, who I rate highly, but hasn't been able to have an impact in our team as of yet due to the level of what he's at. He's not ready to play first team football. The likes of Bergvall, again, young player, but not ready to have an impact on the first team. Brennan Johnson, young, 45 million, a lot of expectation due to the price tag. But again, he's just a young player that isn't ready to play at the level that we need him to. So that's where one of the problems are, I feel like, with Ange, is we haven't had the right players brought in for him to play his system. Now, I think that the blame has to go on a bit on him, but I'm pushing more the blame onto the recruitment team, onto Daniel Levy, because we brought in Johan Lang, we brought in Scott Munn, we brought in these people to take over the recruitment and, transform the football side of Spurs, but we haven't seen no transformation. I feel like I'm waking up in a never-ending dream. Have you guys ever seen one of those films where, the guy wakes up, goes about his day, dies, wakes up, goes about his day, dies in the same spot? I feel like that as a Spurs fan. We get here, we get to 4th, and it's like, yeah, we're at 4th. We're going to push on next year, and then we drop back down to 5th. And it's like, oh, new manager, 4th. Oh, we're going to go 5th, 6th. New manager, 4th, 5th. 6th. It's a never-ending story. When are we going to push on? When are we going to really challenge? That's what I want to see. And I think Ange can do it with us. Now, going on to the next point, which I wanted to speak about. And this is one where I have more concerns. I'm probably my most concerned with Ange. Players and the player coaching and improvement of players. Now, going forward, it's fair to say that some players have definitely improved under Ange, and you can see some players' overall game has definitely improved. Most definitely Kulusevski. I feel like his football IQ was always there. Very clear to see under Conte that the ability to be creative was always natural for him. He's always going to make something happen. He's always going to beat his man. And if you get the ball to him enough each game, he can be your main man. He can definitely carry the team up the field. But at the same time, defensively, bro, where do I start? I don't think any players, I don't think any players have improved defensively. I think, in fact, Romero has got worse defensively. Maybe that's just this season, because last year I thought he was really good. Had some solid performances all round. Probably conceded too many goals, but ultimately I was impressed with his performances and thought he would take it on another level this year. He shocked me. He's absolutely shocked me, because I went on record, man. I was comparing this guy to Saliba. I was saying, you think you got one? I got a Rolls Royce, Rolly Romero. Remember, man, them on my streams, I was throwing up, yeah? I was throwing my hands up, Rolly Romero. Telling man them, come to my ground, you'll get ragdolled and bullied by my centre-back. But now my man's looking like a fake hard man. He's getting bullied by Smozdik. Man's got dick in his name, pause. Big Y for that. Yellow cards. Getting bullied by Chris Wood, another pause. Man's getting bullied by Wood, you know. Like, how many times am I going to see this guy get ragdolled himself? I even remember that time Tarkovsky and them man are bullying him. Any guy that's from Britain, from up north, them man are going to give him a lesson. And that's where a problem lies, because there's always 1-2 times in a game where he loses his head. Absolutely loses his head. Goes flying in. Just like a, XL, not even XL bully. I think, do you know what? He's like a little chihuahua. Like one of them pit bull terriers or something. One of them things, them little dogs that they just get overexcited at times. But then that's all it is. It's just a fucking little bark. You kick them away and you even forget about them. That's what happens with Romero. We saw it against Aston Villa. He was decent. Didn't really have a good game, I'd say, but he was decent most of the game. Kept us level. And he just goes flying in for a challenge at the halfway line on the half turn. Very clear to see he was going to lose it. Gets himself injured. And then he comes back and he's playing at 50% against Ipswich. Why? Oh, because he's got international duty coming up. Because he cares more about Argentina than Spurs. Then get him out. I was a big fan of this guy, but ultimately, I'm a fan of my club. This is my club. And if you're not playing for my club, then get the fuck out, bro. You don't deserve to be a part of this. If you want to play for Argentina every week, fly over there and go do training camps all year round. You can win your little Copa America every now and then. But I'm here for legacy of Spurs. I'll more than be more than happy to get rid of Romero at this rate. If he keeps up these performances at the end of the year, get rid of the whole right-hand side of the pitch. Because on to the next defender, Pedro Porro. Mr. I can't check my mirrors. Mr. I don't even know how to check my... Bro, I remember being in development football, 16, 17 years old, 15 even. And I was centre-back, centre-mid at these times, CDM. And my manager used to tell me, Oh, and not even me, just the whole team. Every training session, all you would hear was check your shoulder. Before you get the ball, check your shoulder. When you're on the ball, check your shoulder. That's one thing you need to do as defender is get goal side and check your shoulder. And he never does it. We conceded the same goal about 7 or 8 times this year. The ball comes down the left side onto another defender, Udogi. I don't know what's going wrong with him. Man's been getting doggied all year. Literally bent over, hands and knees. I'ma take you for a run. That's exactly what's happening down that left side because he's letting his man beat him. Pause. Get down to the byline and then just cut it back across. Every single time we saw that. We saw 2 goals in the Brighton game that way. We saw a goal in the Newcastle game that way. We saw the goal in the Palace game that way. Ipswich game that way. Like every game, we're pretty much playing, we're conceding down the left-hand side to the right-hand side because 2 fullbacks aren't doing their job. What happened to the guy that was aggressive in Udogi? What happened to the tenacious left back that no one couldn't beat last year? Man was bullying Saka. This is why I saw him bullying the best right wingers in the league. But now it's like, take me for a run, man. It's all right. I'm not going to touch you. All princey and ponies and all this thing. Like, it's got to be better. It's got to be better. And that's where I look at Ange because these players have had some of these defensive, issues and let's say weaknesses to their game when they join Spurs. I haven't seen it improve. I haven't seen them iron out any of these mistakes. And yeah, it's fair to say it. Spurs as a team defensively have been poor for quite a while now. Since the days of Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld, where I was very privileged to watch week in, week out, I saw 2 of the best centre-backs you'd probably see in Premier League time. We're a long way from that. We're an absolute long way from that. This team isn't, it sounds nice to put together, even looks nice when they're on the ball, but defensively, they are shocking. They are shocking. We just have to admit it. So we need to see more from Ange, defensive coaching wise. We need to see if it's, the individual weaknesses of players. We need to see them improving that. I mean, Pedro Porro can't continue to make the same mistakes, nor can Christian Romero, because if you're continuing to make the same mistakes as you was 2 years ago, what are we doing with you? Get gone, bro. Get gone, because these mistakes are costing us game in, game out. And this is where it takes me on to my next point before we wrap up. The system, the tactics. I think that Ange has shown in games this season he can adapt. Look at the West Ham game, the Aston Villa game. West Ham in particular, Maddison comes off the pitch, brings Sarr on. You put in a number 8 in there, someone who's going to be a bit more leggy, get up and down the pitch, win the ball back, and the game changes. We've seen at times when he's asked Maddison to go onto the left-hand side of the pitch due to the midfield being clustered and the fullbacks inverting. Sometimes Maddison has to do the overlap out on the left-hand side, and we've seen that in a few games. It's opened up space to allow him to run at players on the left-hand wing because he's a good dribbler. If he's got space, he can make use of it. I do think that maybe in the open space when he's at the halfway line and he's got to take his man down the line, it's not going to work. In the tight spaces, he's good. But our point here is we've seen Ange shown tactical adaptability. We just need to see it more often because he can do it. But there is times that he has been tactically outclassed. Brighton, Fabian Hertzler, he done it to Pep, but the way he done it to us was embarrassing. We got absolutely peppered in that second half compared to the first because we dominated them all first half. And then we just, got down on our hands and knees and said, smack me. Yeah. Oh, get me. Like, pause for that again. Why? I'm just going to keep pausing. You man are going to have to be ready for this one. But the whole point here is we bent over like some, and it shouldn't have happened that way. And we need to see more mental fortitude from this team. It's always been a problem again at Spurs for a few years, and maybe that comes down from the board level down, and it feeds into the team. The mentality is just not there. We hear very often from Ange that, he talks to these players before they come in. He makes sure that they've got the right mentality to play for this club, to make sure that they want to win things. Okay, I don't see that. I I see a bunch of losers. I see a bunch of pussies. Sorry, my French, but why, when we go 2-0 down, is everyone's head down? No one's looking up. There's no one on the pitch going, "Hey, you get your head up. Hey, we fix, yeah, yeah." Coaching on the pitch. That's what we need to see. And that's from you instilling that into players. Maybe it's going to take some time for the young players to come through and eventually have that impact on them, that they become that man. But at the moment, too many nice guys. Way too many nice guys. But yeah, no, back to it. Just the tactics for Ange. I do think that defensively, uh, when you look at when we're playing Dragusin, trying to play out from the back, overplay from the back, it's caused us some issues. Lost the ball quite a lot of times and probably given up a few. We haven't really got given up too many goals to mistakes, but we give up a lot of opportunities and give up the ball because we're breaking down play at the back when teams are pressing us high and continue to persist with it, like we did in the Galatasaray game, knowing you got Fraser Forster back there and Ben and Radu Dragusin who can't play that way. It's just not making sense. So there has to be a bit more tactical changes. I feel like in game, you probably need to see substitutions a bit earlier. But ultimately, I'm here to say I believe in Ange. I believe that he can make these changes. I believe the team can improve. And I believe if the recruitment gets better and we facilitate Ange with the right players, he's the man to take us forward and be successful at Spurs, to taking us forward to win a trophy. This year, we have a very good opportunity to do it. He said in his second season that, he always wins something. So go out there and show me. Go and prove the other people wrong. Prove me right. Win us a trophy, Andrew. Let us see that, that there is progress here. That you're going to take us forward. I hope so. I hope so, man. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you've watched the video this whole time, that means you do like it. So before you head out, smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And yeah, man, as you guys know, as I said, and in, man.